Hello everyone and welcome. In this video we're going to be checking out the Toyota Mirai. And so the biggest difference between this and any other electric vehicle, really it is an electric vehicle, the only difference is instead of a battery, a large battery doing all of the power, you have an onboard hydrogen generator that's creating the electricity for you to use. And I actually do have a video explaining how that works. So this car starts at $57,000. And I guess the advantage that it has over electric vehicles is that, you know, you don't have to spend any time at a charger. You can just go to a fill-up station, fill it up with hydrogen, and go on about your way. Do you see that being a hurdle just because of the price difference between this and some of the comparable electric vehicles, which don't have near the range, but, you know, the price isn't necessarily an issue as much?
Yeah, I really think it depends on what the consumer wants. You know, if you want, long range and quick refueling, then this is a great car. I think if you want, if you're a college student, say in an urban environment, and you need to hop down the block, or you have, a 20-mile commute, during the week, then electric car, battery electric car might make sense. So it really depends on what your needs are. I think that a lot of the benefits of hydrogen, though, are especially cold weather is another area. So if you have a purely battery-dominant car, the performance of the battery is really degraded by the cold, whereas the fuel cell, you don't have that problem. And the same thing is if you're at the very end of your range, fuel cell is kind of like a gasoline engine. You get full power up until your last drop of fuel, whereas if you're a battery, you're getting towards the end of state of charge, you lose performance.
Good torque too.
Yeah, plenty of torque. It's got some get up and go.
Yeah. Now, where is this going to be initially sold? Is it purely California?
So, per your earlier smart comment, you need to have stations where you're selling the car, right? The customer needs to be refueled. So, Northern and Southern California will be the first. And then we'll roll out to Boston and New York. We're building 12 stations in the Northeast. And then we'll take a look at the other markets that make
So, who are you working with for the hydrogen stations?
So, in the Northeast, we partner with Air Liquide, which is a global company that we're working with in Japan as well. We've built stations with them in Japan to support the Mirai launch last December in Japan.
Okay.
And they've got, the knowledge and global experience working at the pressure levels that we need.
And is that a standalone, like, gas station that's just filling hydrogen, or does it kind of get incorporated within another?
So it's a great question. It depends. Most of the dispensers will be at existing, high volume gasoline stations.
Sure.
They're for a reason, right? They're perfect for commuters or etc. So there'll be an added dispenser. Some may be brand new greenfield sites. So it really depends on the location, but probably the majority in the short term will be new hydrogen pumps at existing, popular gas stations.
Okay. It drives very similarly. I mean, so several of these cars, you notice the heavy regen braking or things like that when you let off the gas. You don't really notice that in this. I mean, it's very smooth once you let off the gas. And then as far as, once you get onto the brakes, it doesn't have, some of them you can kind of notice, okay, that's regen braking. Okay, now I'm on the disc brakes. It's very well, I guess, modulated where you don't feel that difference. It's just an intuitive feel that you're already really used to in driving other cars. So it's nothing all that unique about the driving experience. It's cool in that sense, that it's kept so similar to what we're used to, but all the same, it's completely different technology.
Yeah, well said. The transition's pretty seamless, and we've been doing this for a lot of years now with the Prius, and the fuel cell is really a hybrid, but you replace the gas engine with a fuel cell stack. So we have kind of the benefit of all our hybrid experience over the last 20 years to really perfect kind of things like the braking, the transition that you mentioned. So hopefully it shows.
Yeah, no, there's definitely differences that you notice between the companies as far as the brake pedal feel and how refined it is.
Yeah, one of the amazing things on this car, you get any kind of electric car, and it's obviously going to be very quiet, but you take this out on the test track, for example, at high speeds, and the engineers have done an amazing job of even getting rid of the wind whistle on the mirrors.
Oh, really?
So that's one thing that's still hard to eradicate.
Do you think people are going to be autocrossing these?
Well, I gotta say, I'm a sports car fan myself, but this car with the low center of gravity actually drives and handles a lot better than you'd expect.
Yeah, a lot of the basic sedans out there.
It's fairly satisfying to drive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and these electrics are fun, especially in cities, because you're always at low RPMs, you know, when you're driving a gasoline engine, and you always want power on the low end in order for it to be fun. And with these electric motors, you don't have to think about that. You just step on it and you're going.
Yeah, that low end torque. I think this says 247 foot-pounds.
Wow.
And it's got some scoot.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But yeah, the refinement is something I think everyone will appreciate. It's based on our Lexus platform, and a lot of the components come from cars like the RX 400h hybrid.
Okay.
So a lot of refinements built into the car. So it's fun to drive, but the majority of the times, if you're stuck in traffic or just cruising along, you want to be comfortable.
Right. No, it is.
Definitely helps that.
You definitely don't feel, bumps and anything like that. There's not really a harshness to it in any way. It's pretty impressive. My one gripe is just that I think $57,000 is a lot of money, and it's a new technology, so that's what happens. New technology comes in, and it's hard to sell it for anything less because of the price of getting into something new.
Right.
So eventually it should come down, and that's cool. But yeah, at the moment, I think for long-term travel it makes sense, but then you need the stations. So once that infrastructure is built, it'll start to make more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a fair point. This is, a pioneering product, so it's a conscious choice, and you need to have the means to purchase it, obviously. I think some of the things we're doing to help the customers, we're paying for the first 3 years, all your fuel is complimentary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So the customer doesn't even have to worry about paying for fuel, so it's a pretty significant value. And
now, are hydrogen fuel prices similar? What's that like, the breakdown?
Yeah, another great question, Jason. I think in the long term, I think the DOE, the Department of Energy, is forecasting maybe $5 to $7 per kilogram range for hydrogen, which I think is actually below gasoline. I think in the medium term we expect parity. In the short term, honestly, it's such a new field that the price is going to fluctuate. And a lot of the cost structure for hydrogen is built into the transportation delivery costs. It's trucked in at high pressure.
Sure.
So it depends on your location. If it's a rural area where you have to truck a long way, then the cost at that station is going to be a little higher. And honestly, the station suppliers themselves are going to dictate. Market forces are going to dictate what people are charging. But I think we anticipate in the short term maybe $9 to $15 range per kg.
Okay.
So again, long story short, roughly equivalent to gasoline, and for Toyota is going to take care of the fuel for the initial customers, which is great.
Horses.
Cool horses.
Yeah.
I think they appreciate the zero emissions factor of this car.
Does this have a tailpipe? Is there an exhaust pipe for the water?
Small trickle water pipe towards the rear.
Okay.
Yeah, not really your conventional exhaust pipe, but yeah, so water vapor does come out of that.
So is that a steel tube as well, or is it, how is that? Is it warm, I guess?
It's a little warm, not very. It's not hot at all.
Like comparatively to ICE.
Right, exactly, not hot at all. And depending on how you drive, you'll see some water vapor occasionally. If you're drifting, you'll see some water vapor.
At the autocross lot,
yeah.
You'll see a little water vapor coming out.
When you pull up in your local Mirai is being autocrossed, you may get a nice cool spray.
Oh, there's a button for park.
There you go.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
that was a good test drive. Don't go.
She's just turned around.